morning, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to talk today here about our product, the exploration risk insurance, which is really a way to support financing for geothermal projects, and maybe this is also a way to get in earlier for banks to finance during the drilling phase. So we mentioned that. Let me give you a short overview about our company, the Munich Re, and why we are active and how in the renewable energy sector. And from that experience, I want to give you some issues for the geothermal projects we currently have. And of course, I want to show you the product itself and how we develop the policies itself for the projects. So Munich Re is the biggest reinsurance company worldwide. We have three pillars. Our core business is the reinsurance business. This is a business where we insure the primary insurance. And typically, this is also the company who has the know-how to develop new products and in new environments. Yeah, we have also a part of Munich Health, and we own a primary insurance company, the Ergo. And for all them, we also have an asset management group handling with all our assets. For the reinsurance sector, we have 11,000 employees and 27 billion euros in premium income annually. And we serve our products and solutions for more than 4,000 clients worldwide. Here's a map where we are located. You see everywhere, so that makes it possible for us to provide the clients with products and policies to local conditions. But the question is why we are active in the renewable energy sector. And the answer you can see here, because traditionally and from the business, reinsurance companies are very much affected by natural disasters. And if you can see here, alone in 2011, we had over 360 events which are defined as natural disasters. And imagine we are involved in every single case here, in every single event. In other words, we have to pay for every single event here. And this is a big impact for our company, for the reinsurance company, and for our balance sheet. And that's why we are always thinking what we can do against this trend. And we do something, and we established a department back in the 1950s who are responsible only for researching in those natural hazards. And already back in the 1970s, we found out that there is a climate change. This is not new today, but at this time, this was really revolutionary and new. And we could also show an impact on the economies from those climate change. Here are two numbers just from this department. We have over the last 100 years an increase in sea surface temperature by 0.74 degrees Celsius. This has a big influence on the climate change and to the natural disasters. And we had, you all know this, the economic losses from Katrina, which were 125 billion euros. So I only want to show this to give you an example how important this natural and energy thing is for us. Here's another chart from this department. You can see the green bars with the overall losses from natural disasters year by year. And the blue bars are those covered by the insurance companies. And we actually started this chart back in 1950, and you can see a trend towards bigger losses and more events in those things. And that's why, as I said, we have to do something against it. And good news is we can handle those things. This is our business. This is not new for us. And we are prepared to do something against it. And one thing is that we say to mitigate those consequences from the climate change is that we invest in the renewable energy sector, whatever that is. We can do this because we have a lot of expertise in the reinsurance company and also an appetite to take really complex risks. And we heard it a lot of times today already. Geothermal is complex from the nature. And we are able to provide products here and to develop the products the clients need. We also have good or can provide a good level of security because we have really high capacity in the background to support products and also to have the patience to develop it and to run the business in those renewable energies. Here you can see all the renewable energies, energy fields where we are active in and the related new technologies. In every field we have at least one product we provide to the clients, and my department is responsible here for geothermal. And we developed a product which I would like to show you here. But before I do this, from our experience, I want to show you what we think is challenging in the geothermal industry. And this is also not new. We mentioned it today with the keynote speakers. But let me repeat from the insurance side this again. We have this high upfront investments. Banks don't like this. Investors don't like this. We have the planning, which is often uncertain from the resource and from the final costs. During the development phase of a geothermal power plant and drilling, you don't know. There are so many uncertainties that you not exactly can forecast the final cost for that project. It is very complex and we have long lead times. And nowadays, another thing what makes the geothermal industry suffer is the rival green technologies like shale gas, what we experience in the US. This is pretty a big impact on the geothermal industry there. So what is the result of all this? This is we have a lack of financing for geothermal projects, and especially during the drilling phase, as we heard today. And our goal, our aim is to make those investments for geothermal more attractive. So let's come to the main idea of the policy of the insurance we provide. As I said, the challenge is that the investor loses all the money if the well, which was actually drilled, is not successful. Not successful means it is dry, or it is not possible with the resource they found to establish, to build a power plant or district heating or whatever. You can use it, but can't use it. And our solution is that we insure those investments, cover this, and would compensate all the investments in such a case. Sounds simple? Isn't? But let me show the main objectives we have with this insurance product. The investment cost, as I said, we try to protect it against lost investments. We provide planning reliability with such a product. We also can lower the equity requirements for banks, and the same is true for loan interest rates if the project can provide such a exploration risk insurance. But most important is that a project or a developer with an exploration risk insurance in place can get easier access to investors because the risk is more exactly defined and we take it. So as I said, it's not that easy to insure that, and it is, as I said before, very complex. And I would like to show you from the insurance perspective why it is so complex for us to insure those risks. And to do so, I have listed here some elements of an insurance, and I would compare it, what we do, to a common and usual insurance product. An insurance is a equitable transfer of the risk of a loss from the insured to the insurer in exchange for payment. This is what we have in geothermal as well. It is often used to hedge against the risk of an uncertain loss. This is also true for geothermal. But usually primary insurer, for car insurance for instance, they use and apply a law which is called law of large numbers. That means they have to balance the premium income from a lot or from many individuals who pay the premium for an insurance product with the losses they produce. This is, if you compare this with the exploration risk insurance, a totally different approach. What they do, for example, in the car insurance is they calculate the losses from the past year and compare it to the premium income, and then they know whether they have to increase the premium or not. Decreases, not that often. But we can't do this with the geothermal because we don't have that portfolio. We only have a small number of geothermal projects we have to insure, less than 10 projects every year. And we have to find another way to calculate the premium. And the only way to do so is to go deeper into the details of the project itself. So we have to understand every single project from the risk. And this is for us just to go into detail with the geologists and everything what is required for the development phase of a geothermal project. So we have more look into the future of the prospect, of the project. Another thing is diversification, also complicated for us. Car insurance, diversification is pretty intrinsic because you have old drivers, young drivers, old cars, new cars, different risks, and you can spread it throughout. So that's difficult for us with only less than 10 projects we insure annually. But maybe if you see some news or some statements from Baker Hughes here, for example, the demand triples in the next 25 years. And also when you see the map here and the forecast from the IGA, the demand will increase in the next years. Maybe geothermal develop to a commodity product so that we can apply the same tools for this kind of insurance as we have in car insurance. But to be honest, it's not possible from the insurance perspective, because geothermal is too complex compared to car insurance products or other usual insurance products, that we can provide a standardized product for every geothermal project worldwide. It's not possible, they are different. And that's why we have a different approach here. And the key elements here is that we look very individual to the projects to understand the requirements they have, and we have to be very flexible on this, just to also meet the needs they have and just to know what they want to ensure. Diversification, I already mentioned that, is always, we have to have an eye on this. And very important for us, we have to learn from every project and has to apply what we learned to the new project we want to ensure. So this is what we do, what we need from the information. As I said, we are really detailed in developing those insurance products. That's why we need all the geological and technical information. We have geologists on board who take care of this and evaluate the risks down there. Project-related information we also need. This is, for instance, developer experience is very important for us because we don't want to ensure the lack of know-how from the project, but only the rest of the risk which remains after the project is well developed. Yeah, and insurance-related information, this is what we have to figure out. Some insured, scope of insurance, all that, what the project wants and needs to have insured. What does it mean in practice? First of all, we have to get an understanding of the worst case because this is what we insure. The worst case usually means a dry well, as I said before, or a resource which is not productive enough to establish a power plant. And if we have this understanding, we ask for the documents to evaluate the risk itself. And what we do in the first place is to evaluate the data quality. And we cluster it in excellent, sufficient, and not sufficient. We do that because we need this understanding of the project, and if we don't have sufficient information, we either can't insure it or we have to ask for more or better information in that regard. And of course, we look into the content of the information and also cluster it from low risk, medium, high risk, or not insurable. And I show you this because you can see here a trend for the final premium then. If you have an excellent data quality and we found out there's only a low risk, that would be a better price than a only sufficient data quality with a high risk project. You know? And this is what we are working on to get an understanding. The approach is we start with the inquiry. Once we have that, we ask for the documents and information. And once we say, yes, it's insurable, we think it's a good project with a good resource, we would enter into a preliminary agreement just to make sure that we can put all our efforts into the development of the project. And then, as I said, we develop a tailor-made insurance solution and provide finally, hopefully, the policy. How long does it take? It is very different. I only can say it's depends on the data availability, but mostly on the progress of the project itself. How the negotiations with the drilling companies are, or with the consultants, or with the investors. There are a lot of issues they have to solve, and this is, as you know, time-consuming. Here, again, what we ensure is the thermal output, so the resource of the geothermal project. This can be the flow rate by a given drawdown, the reservoir temperature, steam, wherever it is, whatever they need. It is very specific, determined to the project's needs. And what we cover are the investment costs. And here the investment costs, they consist mostly of the exploration cost itself, which are seismic, surveys, consultants, things like that. And the main part are the drilling costs. And also we can provide a coverage for the measures to stimulate the well, to enhance the productivity. So this is for the planning reliability for your budgets in the projects. Premium, often asked, I can't answer how expensive this is. I only can tell you some factors of influence: quality of the data, risk itself, the geological circumstances, where the project is. This is, do we have experience already there, or is it a greenfield project? Cost of capital over risk involved, and of course, what the insurer itself needs. Some key issues for that product. The exploration risk insurance is available right now for hydrothermal projects. We think about to develop a product also for EGS, but this will take time, and we need some experience in that field to rely on. Experienced developers, management, we would like to work with those guys because we don't ensure the lack of know-how, what I already mentioned. Excellent documentation, and also like the banks, we want to be involved in a very early stage, just to understand the product and the decision made here, so to evaluate the risk better. We don't only provide the insurance itself, but also the expertise from our geologists we have. We provide a flexible and tailor-made product. And from the region perspective, we have our focus, of course, in Germany, because we developed the product for Germany originally. Then we had the focus on the US, because there was a lot of potential, or is potential a lot, and experience. But the market there is not in good shape, as you know, right now, and therefore we provide our product also to different countries like Turkey and Netherlands, Denmark, Europe. We think about to go to Chile right now. There's big potential. Here are some examples what we already insured. The first exploration risk insurance ever was for the project in Unterhaching, nearby Munich. This was a successful well, and the starting point of this success story from the insurance perspective. We insured another project in Taufkirchen, also in Bavaria, also successful. Then we had a project in Traunreut, which was from the insurance perspective not successful, so we had in this case to pay out the full sum insured. In Denmark we had a project which was unfortunately stopped from the drilling before they reached the layer down there. We're actually insuring a new project which is currently drilling. We are excited about this, also in Bavaria. In Netherlands, we have another project which is starting to drill, I think, in the next weeks or months. And Kenya is also a project, not only one project, a portfolio of projects where we have negotiations to ensure that. And thank you for your attention.